What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Art of Suffering podcast with Dalton Darnell. Today, we have a very special guest. I would like to introduce you to Lisa Green. So me and Lisa go way back now. We go way back. Her oldest son, Daniel, was the best man at my wedding. We fished together in college and worked together for a number of years. And I called Miss Lisa and asked her to be on the podcast because when I was growing up, in my late teens, so, early college and then into my 20s, I really got a lot from Daniel's folks. My parents were divorced and had been divorced pretty much my whole life. And Daniel's parents and my now wife's parents were huge influences in my life as far as what I wanted my life to look like, what I wanted my marriage to look like, what I wanted my fatherhood and my being a parent to look like. And so Miss Lisa, whether she knows it or not, her and Jeff, her husband, had a huge impact on me as a young man. And so I thought it would be really cool to have her on here and to visit about life and shared life lessons. And just imagine, Lisa, that you're talking with a 21-year-old Dalton, and that's who's listening. You know what I mean?
Well, that one didn't listen too much.
Right. There's no doubt. It took a number of years for me to get there. So anyway, so let's kind of start, Lisa, where you grew up, what you've done, and kind of how you met Jeff and came to where you are now.
Wow. Well, I was raised in Greenville, Alabama, just an hour down the road from where I live now. I was born in 1961 to my parents, Cecil and Ruth Phelps. I was raised in the country on a farm that they purchased in like 1964, a little over 400 acres. And so we had the world to stomp around on, down there. But my dad worked outside of the home, but he came home in the evening and worked his cows and his garden and pigs and, all those things. So I went to college at Troy. It was then Troy State University, and graduated there with a double BS degree in music, performance, and psychology. Is a weird mix, I know. And after that, I worked there in Greenville for different places, and I finally met Jeff, friend of his and a friend of mine. They knew one another, and so we met at Pizza Hut one night. And stayed there until midnight. They were vacuuming around our feet, like, get the hint, we're trying to close up shop here. And he called me and asked me out. And we were married like 10 and a half months later. I was 28 and he was 27 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a few years older than he is. Thought I could raise him right, but anyway.
How long have y'all been married now?
We've been married 35 years this year.
See, I didn't know y'all got married that late. 28 yep. And 27, you said?
Yep. Well,
do you think that helped?
No.
I don't either. I don't think it matters.
Nothing really prepares you for that, but it's your upbringing has a lot to do with that. Your thought processes and how you want to live life. But anyway, he has a forestry degree, so he's a forester, and he's a very good forester. Anyway, he's hoping to retire in maybe a year and a half, and we want to do some traveling. So anyway, after we were married about 2 years, we decided to start a family, and so we now have two grown boys, and they're not boys, they're men,
They're
but
men,
they'll
both
always be my
married.
boys, you know.
Well, no, Dan's not married yet. He's getting there though.
Well, yeah, he's getting there, but one's married and the other one is very, very serious.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we have a daughter-in-law, Kaylee, and a grandson, Tegan, and we love our Jordan too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of it in a 35-year, 64-year nutshell of my life.
So let me ask you this, and this is something. It's always been interesting to me like when I started dating Kara. I would go to their house and watch. I would watch her parents, and this was almost more important to me than Kara herself. Like the way their family interacted, the way her parents interacted with each other, and I experienced this before I ever met Kara with you and Jeff.
Ugh.
I would come to y'all's house and I would watch, because y'all got to know Jeff. He's a funny dude. Like they would pick at each other and laugh, and everybody was like, it just felt like a home. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, that's what we wanted.
Well, that's what you got, Lisa.
Yeah, we tried.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
It,
And Daniel would bellyache about Jeff all the time, and I would be like, "Man, shut up, man! Like, that's what your dad's supposed to be, And it was always just a very comforting thing for me, because if you grow up, like anybody watching, if you grow up without that, you don't know what it looks like. And so, if you don't pay attention to your surroundings and the people that are around you, then you don't ever have a picture of what it's supposed to look like. But I'll say from my own experiences in building that with my family now, it's the hardest thing on earth to build.
Marriage is not easy. You come from different backgrounds. You have different thoughts and the ways you want it to go, but it's not necessarily how it's going to happen. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to work at it.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you say that you and Jeff being rooted in Christ is the main reason why it worked, or is it just sheer tenacity, like grit?
Well, some of both. Jeff, he did have some upbringing, but they weren't faithful, I guess is the best word to say, in going to church. His dad was Air Force, and so they traveled around a lot, and then they settled near Andalusia and Red Level. And so, I mean, he had some upbringing, but he really started growing after we married. That's when he really started growing. He was growing before we married, and came to accept Christ. So that's how it really, began for him. For me, I was 12, and the Lord just got a hold of me, and he had been working on me for I don't know how long. I just was terrified to walk in front of people. And even the church members that I grew up with, I don't know. It's just something that Satan has built into you and tried to get you to, just be afraid of things. And so I finally went forward, and, as always, you always fall away, but the comeback is what's more important, is coming back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had the same experience. It was like I kind of lived for my own deal, and I talked with Daryl about this on the podcast as well. It's like, you have your goals and aspirations and all the things, and but when the king got a hold of me, it was when me and Kara were getting married. It was like I have to figure out how to be a better man to marry this woman, because it's not fair to her. So me and Jeff kind of got kindred spirits in that deal. If God gives you a good woman, it's worth, you got to be a good man. So anyways, that's funny. So tell me about Daniel and Kent. Like, what was it like raising those two clowns? Because I can only imagine knowing them as grown men.
Well, the teenage years was what was most difficult. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was difficult. Because, you know, guys, you know, when you're raising them to be a man, they have to experience pain. They have to experience what it's like to deal with things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a spanking or you know, a nice chewing out or whatever you're getting in trouble for, you know. I'll tell you a story.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of sums it up in raising them. Well, I got a couple of stories, but anyway, this one really tops the cake. So I come home from work one day and they have the four-wheeler out under a big oak tree beside the house. And I'm trying to figure out what they're doing. So I park the car and I get out there. Well, they have Kent in a hunting tree harness, and they have this rope thrown over you know, an oak tree limb, a nice size oak tree limb, and it's tied to the four wheeler.
Oh no.
Daniel's on the four wheeler, and I'm shaking my finger. You better stop that and don't do that right now. And Daniel says, "We did it yesterday, and it was fun." And he gunned it, and Kent's feet shot out from under him. The rope comes undone, and I thought he lands on his neck, but he kind of lands on his shoulder. And I'm going, oh, and I'm on the phone with Jeff. I said, Jeff, you're not going to believe this. And I was telling him what was going on. Stop him, Lisa. You better stop him. I said, I'm telling you, you better stop, you know. So Daniel says, we did it yesterday, and it was fun. So he guns it. Kent's feet shot out from under him. The rope comes undone, and Kent lands on his shoulder. And I just, you know, gasp. Daniel just turns around and he's like, are you okay? Well, get up, you know. And Kent jumps up and he says, I'm okay. And I look at Daniel and I said, go park that thing. And he parks it. So oh gosh, what a nightmare that is, raising teenagers.
I'm not there yet, Miss Lisa, but it's coming.
Oh
It
gosh.
is coming.
Let me tell you one other one. Kent loved to hunt birds out of his bedroom window. Do you know this story, Dalton?
No, I do not know this
Okay.
story.
So he left his window down, but he had Daniel's window open so he could go around through their rooms, you know, checking to see what birds. He'd put some seed out there.
Is
And I
this with a
think
BB gun or like a 22?
it was a BB gun.
Okay.
It was one of those, maybe, I can't remember if it was a BB gun. I think it was a BB gun. Well, they were birds out there. Well, he comes tearing back in his room. He forgot he hadn't opened the window and shot through the window. He shot through the window. And so he called Jeff and he's sobbing. And how much does a window cost? And we're like, what are you talking about? And so then he calls me, Mom. I couldn't understand what he was saying. He was just wailing.
How old is he right here? How old is he?
Oh gosh, 9, 10. I don't remember it. He's just sobbing. And I was at work and I'm like, Kent, stop crying and tell me what is wrong before I run out of the store. I was working. And he said, I shot a hole through the window. And I was like, oh, thank God, is that all? I mean, I could just see blood. You know, Daniel's hurt. You know, they've got the keys to the four-wheeler. What are they doing? You know, so anyway, it was only a window. So we just put tape on the window until he left. And then we replaced the window.
And then until he moved out. So when you shot
Yes,
another hole, it's not a big
you
deal.
never know.
Oh my gosh, dude, that is so funny. And
Oh, the joys.
it's funny because like for me right now, you know, I got a 2.5 year old and a 6.5 year old. That first year's rough. I do not like the first year. That's a write off for me. That
Uh,
first year, when we got a new one coming, I'm like, okay, year one's going to be a grind. But
I will take that before teenagers.
that is not
Just
good for
saying.
me. That is not good for me. I will say Wiley is a pretty timid kid. He's pretty he's careful. He's very careful, somewhat fearful, which we've been working on, but his brother is not. Absolute. He reminds me of Kent.
Yep.
Very much so. Zero fear, zero logic. Like, oh, I can jump off of that, you know, and
Yep.
it's like 6 feet tall. It's like, what's wrong with you, man? That is
But
so
they
funny.
learn, Dalton. They learn with that because as Kent got a little older, 8 and 9, he was processing, like with the little motorcycle, jumping this. He bailed off a little motorcycle. He bailed off because he was afraid of the wreck. Well, you kidding me? All right. So anyway, but
Uh,
they get there.
that is so funny. That's so funny. Well, what's your relationship with them like now?
We have a great relationship. I think. Um, I would love to be closer, but they're in a different stage in life. They're trying to develop their families and their family life, um, and they work.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
I take what I get when I get it.
that's right. The whole leave and cleave thing. Me and Kara,
Yeah.
it was really good for us when we left. When we moved away. It's really good now being back. We get to hang out with her folks and my mom a lot. Like a lot. Like probably we annoy them a little bit, but we spent so much time by ourselves and it just being us. And that was a gift. That
Yep.
changed our marriage. It changed our relationship, especially with Wiley. Spent a lot of one-on-one time with that guy. He's like you can take him anywhere. He's just like a good dog, you know. He listens really good, and he just did life with me for a long time. I've
Yeah.
been trying to talk her into homeschooling because I just want him to come to work with me every day. Um, he's really good help. Even at 6 years old, he's a lot of help down here.
That's
So,
awesome.
anyways, that's interesting. So the I have, and you know what's funny is I've known you since I was probably 18 or 19 years old. And me and Daniel started fishing together. And um, I never knew until probably the last couple of years um, about the health struggles that you endured throughout your life, which is it's unbelievable to me. And the reason why it's unbelievable is I offer a lot of respect to somebody that suffers well, that suffers with a good attitude. And I don't know, having conversations with you over the years about God and about Daniel and about all sorts of things, I've seen you not get upset, but like get a little fiery, especially about Daniel. You'll be like, this son of a gun, and but always had the greatest attitude in life. Like just about everything that we ever talked about, you were always just like, it's going to be okay, man. Don't worry about it. And you maintained that attitude towards me and towards your sons and towards all the people that we were ever around. Um, even through some serious struggles. You know what I mean? Um, and I find myself with the arthritis and the autoimmune stuff and like daily pain and suffering, so to speak, having to tap into that. And it's a choice, in my opinion.
It
Like you
is.
choose to go,
Yes.
okay, I'm going to love my family. I'm going to love my wife. I'm going to love the people that God's put on my path around me, even though today sucks.
Yes. I totally agree with that. Um, I have kind of a, I guess, I guess I'll call it a motto. I don't know. I don't want to live dead. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't want to live expecting to die. I don't want to live knowing I'm going to die. I don't want, I'm going to live day by day. It's a
Mm-hmm.
choice. The days you don't feel bad, or you feel really bad, yeah, you may sit around a little bit, but I get up, I may walk outside, I may, you know, I get up and do something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just sit and mourn and weep and woe is me. I can't do that. That's not me. And that's not who God made me to be.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever, it's he's in control of it. I have no control over anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Except
my
your
next breath.
attitude.
Yeah. He's my
Except
next
your.
breath.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't do anything without him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's my
So
creator.
yeah, and it's tough. It's very. This has been a challenging thing for me for years. I don't know if you want to share this or not, but background here. So we had cancer 4 times.
Well, well, it's a return of my first cancer, and the second cancer is just an ongoing.
Okay.
It's never, unless God decides, it's
Mm-hmm.
never going to go away.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that I've struggled with, and I'm sure, and that's the whole point of this, Lisa. The whole point is for me is to sit here with these people that choose to listen and watch and be honest, which is wildly difficult. Coming from where we come from, the Bible Belt of the South, right? There's a lot of I'm not going to say hypocrisy, but there's a lot of face shield, right? There's a lot of shields up. It's like, hey, I'm good, pray for me, sure, but I'm okay. And just to be completely honest, over the last 5 years of my life, um, I've spent a lot of time wondering why. Like, what the heck, dude? Why? Right? Why am I enduring this suffering? And the conclusion that I've come to is that that's what's required to be a warrior. Like, you have to be good at this. Like, we literally named our company after Philippians 3:10, which says, "For our determined purpose is to come to know the King and share in his sufferings in order to be transformed into his likeness." I've regretted that multiple times, like naming the company that. Like, dude, what the heck? What were we
Well,
thinking?
you don't have to name a company that to deal with it, okay?
Yeah,
So anyway,
agreed, agreed. And so, my question, and this is something that I've been when I got married and I started really looking hard at all the people around me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to learn from as many mistakes as I can and try to take the good things from people that I can and apply them to my life so that I don't have to bump my head as many times. And one of those things that is really cool to watch is someone who suffers and does it well. It's an incredibly difficult thing to do. Like, the ability to understand that God has a plan. He's your next breath. That was the coolest thing I've heard on this podcast, I think. And that, but our responsibilities here are still important. Loving our families, loving our spouses, and how do you do that through pain and suffering?
well, you're also an example. You're an example. So as Christ is my example, and the I was reading this morning Hebrews, the faith chapter in Hebrews, of
Mm-hmm.
all those people who were before us, and many, many more who kept the standard of faith. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the grace that they were given to endure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that. For God to say, I need you to do this, you know, I trust you to do this for me in my name. Wow. It's a lot like Job. Have you considered my servant Job?
Mm-hmm.
The implications of this man right here, I will trust him. And God gave him grace, but Job was faithful through the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something for us to go through the suffering, have the grace,
Mm-hmm.
and honor God
Mm-hmm.
in that.
It's interesting you bring up Job, because I've read that book quite a few times through my searching for somebody to relate to. And I said this in an earlier episode, like I have a really hard time relating to Jesus in the same way that you would have a hard time relating to like your baseball coach. Like it's like you want to be just like that guy, but he's so much better than you. You're like, I'm never gonna be able to throw the ball that hard or run that fast, right? When you're a kid or whatever. And so when I read about Jesus and I'm like, man, I am just not, I'm going to strive to be like that, but that's a pretty high bar. And so in my search, I've found a lot of comfort in David. I feel like I'm a lot like David. Like the way that David talks to God is the way that like
Oh yeah.
in
Person.
Job is the same way. Like even though he's going through it, even though he's faithful, those conversations he has with his friends where he's like, dude, what is going on? What is happening? You know, that's literally how I talk to the king. I view my relationship with him very much so like I do with my own father or my stepdad. You know, it's like they're a very safe spot for me to walk in the room and go, what the actual is going on here? Like, why am I getting wrecked out right now? You know? And so it brings me great comfort to see somebody that God calls faithful in a terrible, terrible time.
Yep.
But he's still asking. He's like, dude, I'm getting it's like our little bitty brains are I have to ask. I have to verbally out loud say, what in the heck is going on? Like what is happening? And I find myself doing that mostly with my children, like Wiley being so emotional. I am just not emotional like that. Not in the same way. And neither Kara is way less emotional than me. Very unemotional human being. And so then we got this little dude here who's got these great big emotions. It's like he can't get his seatbelt on and he loses his mind. And I'm like, guy, it's not that big of a deal, you know? And so I find myself all the time praying to God. I'm like, please help me guide this child in the proper direction, you know? But in the moment, it sounds more like, what the heck have you given me to manage here, you know?
I think God sees you as that little boy trying to put on your seatbelt.
I bet he does.
Yep.
I bet he does.
You know he does. Yep.
My dad told me that one time when he was little. I was tying ropes, and Wiley was like 2. And I'm standing there tying ropes. He's standing behind me, cranked up, like screaming. And Dad's tying ropes, and we're both just like, dude, what is going on, you know? And my dad said to me, he said, I was like, man, I just get this guy's just freaking out, you know? And Dad was like, well, you're 30 something years old and you can't handle your emotions. Imagine what he feels like. I was like, that's solid.
Yep.
That's solid.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think about it all the time. It's tough. It's brutal. Oh my goodness. Well, it's pretty unbelievable to me. Like, are you still undergoing treatment?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so a little backstory here. They put me on for my arthritis. They put me on a drug called methotrexate. Have you heard of this?
No, but it just doesn't sound good.
Oh, well, in small doses, they use it for arthritis, and in large doses, they use it for cancer. And let me tell you something, them side effects, unbelievable. unbelievable. Like I literally quit taking it. I was like, I called the doc. I was like, hey, I can't do this. Like my teeth started falling out of my head.
Ugh,
Like all of the like the fillings that I had, the cavities were like falling out. It was
wow.
wild. And there's some other ones we're going to leave it PG, but like there was some uncontrollable functions happening
Yes. Yes.
out of hand. I called the guy. I was like, hey, this isn't small print side effects here. You need to put this in bigger print. Like I'm sitting on the couch, dude, and this is
Can't
going
leave
down.
the house.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is absurd. So
Yeah.
I basically about 3 years ago quit taking everything. I was like, I just can't. I will just take Advil and survive. So as far as is your treatment is concerned, um, what what has Jeff done to like been a blessing to you or your kids or like how if I find my mother in this situation, what can I do to be a blessing to her?
Um, Grace is needed on the days that you just feel really bad, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Um, I, Grace is the biggest thing
Mm-hmm.
to me. I can't think anything bigger than, because on those days that maybe you just don't feel like cooking or cleaning or washing clothes or, even the simplest things,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't, I get up. I just can't. I just can't. I'm not going to sit there and feel sorry for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to get up. And sometimes I may walk outside and get some fresh air and some sunshine, and the Lord and I talk, We
Mm-hmm.
just have a conversation. Sometimes it's a long one, sometimes it's a short one. But it's just important to have those conversations, because it's not like he doesn't know
Mm-hmm.
what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
He has every bit of knowledge of what you're going through. He has every bit of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing like the pain of the cross, the suffering there.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, well, Lord, if this is something I want to do it through your grace, because there's no other way.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to show up. I want to do what I need to do. And that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Medication is not fun.
Oh, wretched. I can't even imagine. I mean, literally. I mean, I'm taking like this much. I was taking like this much. And I was like, dude, you give more of this to people? This is crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Um, oh my gosh, it's interesting because I think, I don't know, I just can't imagine. I feel like a lot of times, I don't say anything to my wife um, about the bad days. It's just because you don't want to,
Yeah.
because it's ongoing. It's every day. It's like, you know, just don't, if you just don't say anything, it's just okay. And I think sometimes it helps her if I do. If I'm like, hey man, it's a
Hmm.
grind. It's a grind out here. Helps her understand. But you get to where, and it's the same thing with this podcast. Like if you never say anything, people can't relate to you. They can't help you. They can't offer you grace. And walking day in and day out with somebody going through something like that um, requires a pretty high level of understanding for what they have going on. And it's your weakness shows his strength, if that makes sense.
Nope, it absolutely does. Dalton, we can't do anything without his strength.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, I can't function.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep Tegan, my grandson. I keep him. Well, I was keeping him 1 day a week, but I think they're going to put him in daycare now. But anyway, but I just enjoy those days, and I'm exhausted by the end of the day.
How old is he?
He's 20 months this month.
Oh, so almost 2. Is he talking or walking yet? Surely he's walking. Yeah. Wide open. Is he like Kent, or is like I haven't met Kent's wife?
Ooh, Kent was wide open. Yes, he was. He was. But Daniel was too. Daniel was kind of laid back until Kent came along. And then
Mm-hmm.
when they were old enough to start walking and playing and doing those things, well, there was some arguing and fighting, but they also had a great time playing.
Mm-hmm.
That's typical with siblings. But
Do
um,
you like being a grandma more, or did you like being a mom more?
oh God, man, that is a tough question.
It's terrible.
At the end of the day with grandchildren, okay, I love you. Here's mom and dad.
Yeah.
But the times that I have him, we just chase one another, squealing and laughing and having a good time. We go outside and we ride our side by side, and sometimes he's just full of gibberish talk, and I have no idea what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I, try to get him to talk to me, because sometimes he'll do the pointing thing, and look at me, and it's just priceless.
What's Jeff like being a grandpappy?
Oh gosh, he loves that, and he can't wait to like take him fishing or hunting or all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
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 praying for the later years. I can understand that deeply. I try really hard not to wish anything away. I try really
yeah.
hard to enjoy where they're at.
Take that time, because it goes so fast. It just
Hmm.
doesn't last long.
Hmm. So, what is your favorite Bible verse?
Ooh. Mm. I'm not good at remembering like where it came from. Um, but where, golly, there's so many. It's hard to pinpoint, because, you know, through all of this, he's spoken to me so many times, through a scripture, and I didn't write them down. I just accepted it, and thanked him for it. But wow, I don't know, Dalton. And I just have so many of them. I love where he gives us the grace for each new day, and that he promises to never leave us or forsake us.
Hmm.
I guess that's one of my favorite ones. That he's not going to leave me. He's not going to forsake me, and I want to be faithful to him. Because I want to see him.
I'm going to share one with you here. So, this is pretty, and I keep. Let me see here. Um, okay, so I did an episode about quitting drinking, and that's what's interesting about this
I saw
podcast.
it. Yeah.
It's very interesting because things that you don't know or you don't think about, people will comment things. People email me every week, message me on Facebook, just encouraging or sharing their story, and it's very cool. But this guy uh, commented this verse, and it was about the drinking, but I think it applies really, really well to the cancer, to the arthritis, to basically anybody suffering the
Hmm.
daily grind. So it's 1 Corinthians 6:12. It says, all things are lawful for me, which this is what, like with the drinking, that was my initial thought. But now listening to you talk, the end of this verse totally changed the meaning for me. 1 Corinthians 6:12. All things are lawful for me, but not all things are profitable. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be mastered by anything. And I think it's very easy. Anybody out there that's suffering a daily battle like this, whether it's drinking or whether it's illness, to let it master you. And I think that's what you've chosen not to do. It's like your ability to push through, get up, allow God's strength to push you through the day is not letting it master you. And in return, you're showing your children, you're showing your grandchildren, you're showing your husband, the people that are around you, what it looks like for God to take you under his wing and keep it pushing. Because for myself, when I first got diagnosed, I was like, okay, what's going to happen to me? Like immediate, like the doctor literally told me. I was in his office and he was one of Kara's friends, because she worked at Jackson at the time, and he was like, I'm just going to shoot you straight. If you don't take care of yourself, you're going to be crippled before you're 50. And I was like, okay, well, very good. Well, what's that look like? So I go home and start whooping and riding on Google. And basically every single comorbidity, so to speak, every single thing that's going to happen to me came from being sedentary and fat. So super high chance for heart disease, super high chance for diabetes, super high chance for basically any disease you can get if you just sit on the couch and eat potato chips because your feet hurt. And so I was like, okay, not doing that. Number one, just don't let that go, you know? And so that was my own way. I didn't know about this verse of not letting it master, not letting it become my master. Right. And I think through listening to you talk, that changes that entire verse for me. Like, all things are lawful, right? You could sit down and do nothing. And Jeff's not going to say a word. Daniel's not going to say a word. They're going to bring you whatever you want, and they're going to let you sit there because
No,
you're
Jeff's not
tired.
going to do that.
Jeff's going to be like, get in there and make that, get in there and make that dinner.
No, because I mean, yes, he wants dinner, but he's not. He knows it's better for me that if I get up and move for anybody, and he's right, and I know that. We know that.
How do you keep from getting mad at him? You get mad at him when he's
I
like,
can't
get
say
up.
that. I can't say that I don't get mad at him. I can't say he doesn't get mad at me either.
No, Kara definitely gets mad at me when I'm like, you need to go to the gym this morning. She's like, shut up. No. I'm like, okay. Yeah. She stays getting frustrated because I'm a goer. I'm a doer. Like I'm wide open.
See, that's Jeff. That's Jeff. I want to get it done and then do something fun, you know. But
Yeah,
I just
she doesn't take motivation from me. That it, like, I could motivate anybody on earth to do almost anything except for my wife. It just turns into she gets frustrated.
yep.
Not that I don't do it, because I do. I step in that hole every day. I'm like, hey, get up and
All
get
right.
after it.
Hey, Dalton, you're sounding more and more like Jeff. So just FYI.
I
Okay.
like Jeb. I like
Okay.
Jeb. Oh, that's fantastic. But it brings me back to, you know, that's kind of the deal, is like, it's all lawful. You could sit there, you could do nothing. But then it masters you. You become a slave to it. The longer you sit and wait to beat it, and this is for me, and I talk about this a lot, it's a minute by minute decision. It's like, okay, right now I kind of feel like a piece of garbage and I don't know what to do. And so I go to Christ. And it's like that all day long. It's for me. And that's not just the arthritis. That's like being a dad, being a husband, taking care of my house, like providing. Trusting God with that it's very easy for me to sit here and say, just trust God with it.
Just
Just
say
go
it.
to the gym,
Saying and
and
doing is two totally different things.
it is. And I think that's where guys get screwed up, is God, everybody. That's where everybody gets screwed up is you're like, I'm not good at trusting God, like in your own brain. Like you go to the church or you talk to somebody and they say, well, trust God. And you're like, okay, I'm going to trust God. And then 2 hours later, you're like mad at something that's just silly. And you're like, man, I'm just not good at trusting God. No, it's like that for everybody.
Yeah.
It's like
No,
that for everybody.
he made you human. That was part of the fall of Adam and Eve. I mean, it's just
Mm-hmm.
that's that's part of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Our walk can get better because of that.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes straighter
Mm-hmm.
because we say, I messed up. And I gotta move forward past all that. And so that's Lord, please forgive me. I'm sorry. Please help me. I need you. You know, we can't, this life is a difficult life
Mm-hmm.
because we're human. We're not, we're not, we're not a God,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't understand everything, but he does.
Mm-hmm.
And if we love him, if we trust him, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
We just gotta talk to him and find out and study his word and let him speak to us through his word
Mm-hmm.
and to us personally in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stop and listen.
I was, this is,
Sometimes he speaks through people too, Dalton. You know that?
oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm sitting here.
So
Uh,
we
Not a
need to
big
be
reader
ready
back
to
in the day.
listen. Oh, it may not be me,
Mm-hmm.
but there's plenty of people around that
Mm-hmm.
God will speak through.
Yeah. No, I firmly believe in that. I believe God sticks people on your path. Sometimes for a short time, sometimes for a quick time, but
Yep.
those seeds are getting planted,
Yes.
whether they know it or not. And I try to, and most of the people that end up on my path, I try to find Christ-like qualities in them and speak to those, like even if they're not believers. Like most people have some sort of Christ-like quality that's banging around in there. Like I have a sister-in-law, and we've
Mhm.
never talked about Christ very much. Um, but she's a nurse, and Carol was a nurse. And I know the things that those women have to do and men have to do on a daily basis. And it's very much so Christ-like. Like it is not.
Oh,
It
yeah.
it is a
Mhm.
brutal. You want to talk about washing
Yeah.
feet? They
Yeah.
wash plenty, way
Yeah.
more than feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't even know it. They don't even know that's what they're doing. They're just taking care of their patient like they're supposed to, and loving them in that way, even though they might be kind of a coarse, rude person. Somebody taking care of you at that level of, if you're in the ICU where Kara worked,
Yeah.
uh, there's not everybody can do that job. Um, well, this is a little more for me. So recently I was on a plane and I've been flying around a bunch doing clinics and stuff, and I was like, I was reading, man, what was I? I was reading Second Timothy, and there was these parts of the Bible that there's like a little precursor to each chapter. It's like a little bit of history on the chapter, like where
Mhm.
Paul's at or whatever. And I was like, man, that's really cool. Like the history of it's cool. I'm showing my age here. I'm going to start watching the History Channel more, I guess. But I was like, man, I just want to read the whole thing, like cover to cover. So I get up in Genesis and I get to whooping and riding on Genesis. And let me tell you something, Lisa. There's some wild stuff going on in that Old Testament.
Mhm.
And I'm having to like totally relinquish my mind to like, you are God, and I know that I do not know. Because there's some stuff I'm reading in there that's wild.
Yep.
What
Yep.
is
Some
that
stuff
about?
that
What do you
we've
do with
never
that?
seen before. But Dalton, we may see it some. We may see it some if we live long enough.
I'm scared for my youngins. I'm not even going to lie
Yep.
to you.
Dalton, that's so weird because when Jeff and I first married, and we started talking about kids, the Lord and I about had to come apart. And I was like, Lord, I know what your word says about what's coming. And I don't want to bring anybody into the world to have to deal with that. And I just felt like him wash over me and say, wait a minute, don't you trust me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, that just like I totally trust you with my life, and I will trust you with everything that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that point on, I trusted him to have children. And I
Mm-hmm.
just said, I need you to take care of them. I
Mm-hmm.
can't do it all on my own.
That is so interesting you say that, because the way Wiley was born, and I'm telling you right now, if Kara goes down, I'm moving to the top of a mountain with my youngins, and we're gonna rope cows till we're done. I don't know how I could do it without her. But the way he was born, and for anybody that doesn't know the story, um, Kara had Wiley nine weeks early. She had what's called a silent abruption. And a silent abruption, if you're basically not sitting in a hospital bed, the mom and the baby both die. So the day before this, she had high blood pressure. They call it, they got a name for it, but I can't remember it. So we had gone in for that. They fixed that, and she's fine. She's sitting there eating lunch, and I went home to wrap Christmas presents. Well, she calls me like an hour later. I'm at home wrapping Christmas presents, and um, they're wheeling her back to do an emergency C-section 9 weeks early. Um, if she wouldn't have been sitting in that bed, they both would have gone down, gone.
Hmm.
So from the day of his birth, I was like, I can literally remember sitting in the NICU, praying, sobbing like a small child, and I was like, "He's yours." I from day one, I ain't got none. That I mean, he is your kid, and that's been my approach to him the whole time. My job as his father is to show him what a relationship with Christ looks like through mine and his relationship, is to love him unconditionally, to allow him to suffer, to allow him to become a man. And right now he's 6, so we're kind of, we're just now getting into like letting the guy fall off the monkey bars. You know what I mean? Which
Right.
has been a huge deal lately at my house. That's a big deal. And it's it's funny because I sit and, you know, you watch all this crap on social media and on the TV and about how to make the world a better place, and I firmly believe that if I just do my job as a father, the world will be a better place, because my sons will do their jobs as fathers, and so on and so forth. And eventually you wind up, the pendulum swings back to a good spot. If
Hmm.
all of these young men and young women coming up have a daddy that loves them and a mama that loves them, and that teach them the ways of the world and how to combat that garbage, then you end up with something special. I can't go out, and this is a mistake of my father's, my great grandfathers, my grandfathers, right? Is they inadvertently, for the kingdom of God, sacrifice their children to go out
Mm.
and affect other people's lives, when really they'd have done more if they'd have just stayed at home and loved their kids and did what they could do. You know, um, I watch and I listen, and that's something that I have in me, is to want to go and do and run hard at a goal and climb mountains. And I for myself, because I can recognize that in my forefathers, I know it's in me to want to go do. So like my great granddad had 11 kids. Um After he had those 11 kids, he left for like 7 or 8 years to play baseball.
Oh, wow.
So part of some of his kids went to boarding school because grandma couldn't take care of them, And this man, God love him, is heralded as a champion in my family because he played Major League Baseball.
Well,
But all I can see is Grandma Violet at home with 11 kids. Does that make sense?
yes, it does.
And so I'm like, and don't misunderstand me. It's that Adam is in me. Like I would go rope and do all the things if I didn't have a cognitive, if I didn't look at it from this perspective of like, that's not my job. Like roping doesn't matter.
Right.
I could be the best roper in the world, but if I don't raise my sons to be men, I failed miserably. And so there was a lot of healing in that, I guess. I don't know. I didn't know Pap. He died when I was a kid, but just listening to the stories, I was always just like, dude, poor Grandma Violet. Like, dadgummit, man, that's tough, right? And
Yep.
then the same things could be said for any preacher out there that spends all his time on the road, running down the road to spread the gospel, but then his youngins don't know it. They don't know him.
Hmm.
They don't know him, his relationship with Christ. They don't get to watch him repent. They don't get to watch him say sorry. They don't get to watch him fail. And so
They
what you
don't
end
get to
up
watch
with,
him preach either.
they don't get to watch him do nothing.
Mm-mm.
And so for myself, I'm very particular about this, because I can't imagine Wiley having to grow up without understanding what I've learned in my short 30 years, because without that, he is starting way behind the start line. And with all that being said, it's just a call to action for men that have this. Like for me, when I had kids, I hung it up. It's like my hopes and dreams do not matter. God will bring them around if he wants to. Like it took me 6 months of fishing out of college to go, this ain't gonna work. This is stupid. Why would I do this? Like leave my wife at home and go do this? Like how dumb. That's not a thing. Same
You're
same
bleeding
thing with
money
cowboying.
too.
That's an understatement. That's an understatement. So it's just as a man, it's important that you sit down and look in the mirror, because if you have a supportive wife, and that's the thing, if you have a supportive wife, she'll say go and do, but it's not about her once you have the kids.
That's right.
Um, and you should be home to support her. You should be home to do the dad blasted dishes. You should be home to help. But
Those
if you have a
those
supportive
children
wife,
need you. Those
bad,
children need you, not just
bad.
your wife, your
Mm-hmm,
children. Yeah.
mm-hmm. So it's just that's kind of one of those things that I've come to over the years. I really check myself. Like when I'm setting my schedule up and I'm like, okay, am I doing too much here? Like, um,
Hmm.
and you know, it's one of those things that I have to, it's in my nature, it's in my flesh. You hear me? To want to go and climb mountains. It's in there. Like I am as goal oriented and as hard a runner as anybody on earth. I am a freaking monster when it comes to meeting a goal. And I have to check that up. I have to go, that's not the goal. That's not the important goal. And I think Satan uses that flesh to destroy your family. I
I
really,
think there's so many things he can destroy families and our lives personally,
mm-hmm,
um, through through fleshly desires, you know.
mm-hmm,
But yeah, you're absolutely right that if Satan sees that a weakness, whatever, he's
mm-hmm,
gonna go all in
mm-hmm,
to get you. So fear was a big thing for me. Fear.
mm-hmm,
I was always afraid of something growing up, monsters under the bed and going out on my own, and
mm-hmm,
that I wasn't smart enough, that I wasn't pretty enough. Just all kinds of stuff, just used against me in
mm-hmm,
my own mind. And once I figured out that God is not the author of fear,
mm-hmm.
get thee behind me, Satan, because I'm
Yep.
I'm not going there anymore. not going there. So like you, I just wonder, do I need children at this point? Because I don't want them to have to go through the things in this life. And I just felt like the Lord saying, wait a minute. Who's God here?
Mm-hmm.
You know all that's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
No, I really don't. But do you trust me?
Mm-hmm.
I said I did. So I do. I trust you, Lord. I don't want to just say it flippantly,
Mm-hmm.
but I do trust you, Lord. I've trusted you through so many things. I'm going to trust you with this too.
Mm-hmm.
So you said something earlier that about a relationship with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
That is an ongoing thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts. The sooner you start, the better off you'll be.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you seek him through the Bible, you pray to him, and you find good godly counselors and ministers, people that are willing to grow and wanting to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And you find yourself faithful somewhere in a
Mm-hmm.
God-fearing, Bible-believing church, if that is where God calls you.
Mm-hmm.
I just think those things are necessary to continue your growth.
I agree
Otherwise, you're
wholeheartedly.
on an island. You know,
Yep.
it's just, and that makes it more difficult in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny you say island because that's what I talked about in the first episode of this thing. Is that's the goal? That was the goal of 310, was to have a place where people could come and experience Christ through the work. That's how I became a believer, is working with believers, is working with guys who make mistakes and say sorry and love God and keep it pushing, and that's what this podcast is. That's the attempt here, is to allow people to walk with me and all of my crazy thoughts and what they would experience if we walked hand in hand every day roping cattle or doing whatever. um that was the goal. And it's an interesting thing because it's not as pretty as doing life with people, is not as pretty as what believers might paint it to be. And it's hard for me. It's really difficult for me sometimes to be honest on this thing, because I'm like, there's some fear of people being like, you're an idiot, like you're dumb. But that's what walking with people is,
Yep, yep,
when Daniel calls me to talk about stuff, that I don't hold back. I tell
yep,
him exactly what I think, and that's part of being a brother. That's
right.
part of the game.
Well, you got to think about Noah in that instance. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he was a lone person with a family and building a big old boat. I mean, in a place on dry ground, they're laughing at him. There's no
Mm-hmm.
water here. Why are
Yeah.
you building a big old boat?
Mm-hmm.
But if you listen, God will direct you.
Yeah.
He's got something for you to do.
There is purpose behind all of it.
Ooh,
That's a
it
fact.
ain't it is not an easy purpose
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. It wasn't for Noah.
Yeah.
It's not going. I think of suffering as a whole bunch of grace coming your way,
Mm-hmm.
because it is.
Mm-hmm.
Suffering is not easy, but we don't have the suffering that they did in the early Christian church. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you believe you're dying.
Yeah.
Maybe headed our way.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I hope not, because I'm raising some warriors down here, Lisa.
they
I
need
got
they
some
need.
mean ones coming.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Unafraid warriors. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
And
my
Dalton, we've all got to be warriors,
mm-hmm.
not just the men. The women are going to have to be warriors too.
Facts, facts. I'm my battle cry for my little ones. Anytime we get on the monkey bars and go to crying,
Uh huh.
is is 1 Timothy 1:7. The Lord did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and self-discipline.
Boy, howdy,
And
that one got me good.
when I'm telling you, it might sound more like a butt chewing than me motivating the guy, but sometimes that's what it takes for a
Yep.
little guy to learn to not be scared. Well, that's awesome. Well, Lisa, what else you got for the people?
Your walk with the Lord is one that is not always easy. But when you lean on Him, when you seek Him, you will find Him, and you will find the most comfort and peace that you will ever know.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was fantastic. This is probably my favorite episode I've done to date. Guys, if you need anything, you can always reach out at Dalton at 310edu.com. That is my email address, or Facebook Messenger. Lots of people message me on Facebook. Please reach out if you need something, if you want to share, if you want to be on the podcast, just hit me up. Lisa, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys in the next video.
I enjoyed it so much.